Welcome to the Two Fat Guys and an Album podcast, your weekly dive into iconic albums and our search for the modern classics. This week we pay homage to one of the icons of the rock era, who passed away this summer, the Prince of Darkness, the Blizzard of Oz himself, Ozzy Osbourne. We will delve into Black Sabbath's Paranoid album. This is a foundational heavy metal album that defined the genre. In the Beyond Classic Rock segment, we will look at Sweet Oblivion album by the Screaming Trees. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more album reviews, in-depth discussions, and music analysis from two fat guys who love talking about music no matter the genre. I am Mike Blackburn. I'll be your host and narrator, and with me, as always, is my good friend, the Maestro of music, the siren of sound, the doctor of the diminished chord, Brek Hufnus. Good afternoon, Maestro.
Good afternoon.
So we kind of dive in here talking about kind of any cleanups we have to do from the last episode. Any
no cleanups.
Nuggets?
It was another perfect show. But I do have nuggets.
All right.
Nothing to clean up, to my knowledge. I don't know. Where do you want to start? How about podcaster hater Tyler, the Creator, who was very, very rude to you?
He was, yes.
Finally got off his lazy butt and released an album.
Nice.
At the end of July. It's called Don't Tap the Glass. Billboard #1. Good to see Tyler, the Creator, creating again. That's all I have to say. And, getting off the podcast hating wagon. And perhaps he will no longer pick on you now that he's back to work.
Yeah, right.
So we did the Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed, last week.
We did.
I did have... So my favorite cover album of the Rolling Stones.
Your favorite cover album?
The Rolling Stones did not do it. My favorite song of album of Rolling Stone songs not sung by the Rolling Stones.
Huh?
This is an album. It's a collection of songs by the Rolling Stones
So this is
that
like
the Rolling Stones did not sing.
So is this one of those like collaboration for charity kind of things where they get a bunch of artists to do like different songs about
by the artist, but it's not the artist singing.
It's like a
it.
tribute album.
I'm so glad
artist.
you said that word.
Tribute? Because
Yes.
you couldn't think of it?
No, because it's related to my favorite album. So my favorite album of Rolling Stones songs not sung by the Rolling Stones is called currently it's called All Bluesed Up. There's more. It's called All Bluesed Up. If you go on your iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to music, you're looking at All Bluesed Up. But that's not what it was originally called. What it was originally called, it was produced by the House of Blues, and it features a bunch of legit blues artists singing Rolling Stone songs who are famously known for covering blues songs. Like they're a blues band. They got their start actually more or less as a cover band of blues artists. So it's a cover of a cover of a cover, I think, is what we're talking about here. But the House of Blues version, the original version, House of Blues, the title, This Ain't No Tribute album. And it is a bunch of, like I said, actual blues musicians, legendary blues musicians singing the songs of the Rolling Stones. And then apparently they decided to clean it up and just called it All Bluesed Up. But the original title of it was This Ain't No Tribute album. My favorite songs on there, You Can't Always Get What You Want, sung by Luther Allison. Does a great job. Wild Horses by Otis Clay, one of our favorite blues artists, and one of my personal favorites who we'd seen fairly often back in the day.
Yeah.
And Tumblin' Dice by Junior Wells.
Sure.
So just to give you an idea, when I say legendary blues artists singing these songs, so that's it.
So there was a lot there. So if we're searching on Apple or Spotify,
if you're searching it up nowadays, you have to look up the song, the album All Bluesed Up.
All Bluesed
You won't. It no longer exists in its original form because who knows why? I don't know why.
And it doesn't say cover
It doesn't have no. It's a much kinder, gentler
but does
album title.
Does it reflect or subtitled or anything to do with the Rolling Stones?
Probably.
Okay.
I didn't focus on that element of it.
How did you know it's Rolling Stones? I mean, if you just look at All Bluesed Up, doesn't sound like you would know what the album's all about.
I don't know. You could look it up on your fancy computer. I don't know. So the way I knew is I had the original version of it. House of Blues, This Ain't No Tribute album. Perhaps it says Songs of the Rolling Stones in a subtitle.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then this is All Bluesed Up. Let's just go with Songs of the Rolling Stones. I think there's a really good chance that it would say that. If you go to your favorite streaming service and type in All Bluesed Up,
I'm actually going to do this because now
I'm
I'm confused.
Sure it will come up and it may have All Bluesed Up.
Bluesed Up.
Yeah, and the artwork is kind of the same. Like they kept everything essentially the same. They just changed the title, I think, to make it more in honor of the Rolling Stones. Even the first title was a bit snarkier.
Yeah. All Bluesed Up, Songs of the Rolling Stones, Various Artists, 2001.
Yeah, I think that's what I said.
2002.
Songs of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, but it's actually in the title.
Well, you asked me, and then I said I think it says Songs of the Rolling Stones as a subtitle.
It's not a subtitle, it's the title.
Well, it's... Okay.
All Bluesed Up,
Songs of the Rolling Stones. I missed the colon. There's an apostrophe in the bluesed part also. If you want to type it up, it's not blues ed. It's not blues ed. It's bluesed hyphen. No, it's not a hyphen. It's an apostrophe. Blues apostrophe D. Like if your spell check is just not letting you find this album.
Wow. We might just have to kill this and restart
the whole show. All over again. I think
it's fine. It'll end up somehow in there anyways.
This is true.
We've learned that lesson. So, all right.
I don't know. That's kind of... I've got... Okay. So, the only other thing I'll connect to the last episode, which was Let It Bleed by the Rolling Stones. And one of the things we had talked about was how, I think, historically, this iteration of the Rolling Stones started to move away from the hippie flower power 68 Summer of Love. Am I right about that?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Sorry. Had a mental thing
young.
happening there. We weren't, wasn't there. And
that we know of.
True. And wow. So I think that this album that we're going to talk about is sort of similar. We'll get into it in more detail, I think. But Black Sabbath, definitely not a flower power type of approach to things. Ozzy Osbourne's even quoted as saying, because he grew up very poor in a very still the town where he grew up, blue collar, still had remnants of World War II, like war damage hadn't been repaired yet and things like that. So when he heard about the Summer of Love, this was a completely foreign concept to him. This meant nothing to him. And his music and a lot of others response to that. So to circle a bit, there's a documentary on Apple TV called 1971, the year that music changed everything. And it's a really great documentary, and it sort of talks about that in a little more detail, about how, I think when we were growing up, we always thought of the 70s a bit yacht rocky almost, and
it was a lot of soft
rock, and that was the Laurel Canyon influence, I think, in the United States, the Eagles, the Linda Ronstadts, the Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
We were still at the age where we're sort of influenced by what our parents were listening to.
That's true.
Forced to listen to what our parents are.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever tied me down and made me listen to anything.
No, but if you're driving in a car, what they had on, I remember it being very and I guess yacht rock would be almost like a blessing, because I remember like
That's stuff that you had to
like
you endured.
Ian Murray and
Oh,
you know,
sure.
yeah.
Angel Anne Murray. That's not Angel of the Morning, is it?
It,
Snowbird.
she has to be like one of the highest selling artists you never think of.
Yeah. Helen
Like
Reddy.
her and Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that
So
whole-
at any rate,
Yeah.
I had never really personally thought of early 1970s as being a pivotal time in music.
Sure, we talked about it on this show.
We did, but that wasn't when I was growing up.
Right, but I mean, we've talked about it here as you've had this sort of changing of the guard or
Yes.
whatever, you know, even with when we talked about the Doors,
Yes.
because that was very much, you know, the kind of the smashing of the flower power into this, you know,
Post-flower power.
Well, it was sort of the illusion of Woodstock and the illusion of the flower power and the summer of love.
Right.
What it really is and where we're really struggling, and sort of the influence of then, you know, the Vietnam War turned ugly, right?
Yes.
It wasn't just something we were protesting against. It was now coming back home.
Yes.
And so you have a lot more of these influences, and the music reflected it with the rise of bands like you know, Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, and
Exactly.
and then even the big artists, the tones changed in the albums.
Things got a little darker.
Yeah.
So yeah. So just want to yeah.
So one more time, I talked over a lot of that.
No, you're spot on. But the title of this documentary, and it's 8 episodes. You can I forget the exact length of the episodes, but it's wonderful. There's great video footage. You're talking about, they feature John Lennon, post Beatles, John Lennon, Marvin Gaye, Sly Stone, the Rolling Stones, going on and on and on. But it's 1971, the year that changed. I keep skipping that word. 1971, the year that music changed everything, on Apple TV.
Nice. So I went down kind of a weird path. Speaking of that sort of weird path thing. And, you know, this kind of, this is our like really our first kind of dip our toe into metal.
Yes.
And the album we're going to talk about really kind of, I mean, there's so many iconic songs. I mean, you hear them on, when you go see another band, it's likely they're going to cover a song, or there's a good chance they're going to cover a song from this album.
Sure.
You know, so you know, a lot of the little riffs and stuff is something that's ingrained into our psyche of people of this era, right?
It's ubiquitous.
Yeah, and you know, I was kind of trying to figure out what else it really influenced, and it got me into doom metal.
That's where you went with it. Like, when you think, who did Black Sabbath, like, of the billion different bands that Black Sabbath influenced, doom metal. Okay,
But-
tell me more about doom metal, because I don't know that much.
Well, it's so
And maybe I do, but I don't know it, because you are the genie of genre, the anaconda of genre.
right. So these are basically bands that I would think worship the influence of Black Sabbath, because so much of this sounds like you could drop it into a Black Sabbath album, as opposed to some of the other things where doom metal is sort of influenced by you know, Blue Oyster Cult and Rush and Nazareth and, you know, Jimi
Okay.
Hendrix and
So do
Judas
you have
Priest.
a doom metal band? Who are some of the leading doom metal
So
bands?
if I was going to say, hey, you should listen to a song or listen to a band,
Right.
Candlemass, mass, like M-A-S-S.
Mass, okay.
So the word candle and the word mass,
Gotcha.
M-A-S-S put together.
And are these current bands, or are we talking about bands of the late 70s or 80s that emerged out of Black Sabbath?
So
or
Candlemass formed in 1984.
Okay.
They've released an album, I think as currently as 2022.
Okay.
And a fairly decent song, and where I would say a good place to dip your toe into if you want to listen to something is a song called Scandinavian Gods.
So that was going to be, I think, my next question. Is doom metal primarily like Finnish and Scandinavian and
There's a lot of that. Yes.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I always think of that genre in that sense. Like,
Yeah. So
and is it different from death metal?
I think so because, like I said, you listen to all of this and the guitar riffs, that dirgy kind of sound,
Mm-hmm.
that funeral sort of.
So it's not like speed metal. It's not
No,
fast and
no,
loud.
no. It's a lot like Black Sabbath, where those things are
Okay.
like slower and
Yes.
kind of downturned guitars. I don't know.
Down tuned.
Downtuned.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guitars, that sort of thing. It's very, very black. I mean, if you're a big fan of Black Sabbath, I would go out and like listen to some of these bands.
Okay.
And the other ones I'll throw out that I found. There's a female band called Konvent, spelled Konvent.
Because they have a lot of potassium.
Well, I was thinking it was kind of a.
Well, you're the chemist. That's just a little chemistry joke.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Covenant, like the
No, I get the
you know,
covenant.
convent kind of.
Well, no, covenant would be like a promise that you make
Yeah,
to somebody.
but how else would you pronounce?
Convent, convent, and covenant are two completely different words.
Konvent.
Konvent. So the name of the band is Convent with a lot of potassium.
Yeah,
Okay, you had said, I think covenant,
I added a syllable, which
which does change the meaning of
yeah,
the
yeah,
word.
yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about convent, a place,
female band
yeah, a place where nuns live, but
right.
spelled differently.
differently.
Okay.
Song to listen to is Grains. Last one I'll throw out is the band Pallbearer.
How do you spell that? Paul
Yeah, no.
Barer. Someone who carries around Paul.
Pallbearer.
Well, that's boring. That's the
Pallbearer.
normal way of spelling it.
Listen to the song Foundations. All right. That was going somewhere, and then it was
Doom metal.
Doom metal.
Doom metal. The post Black Sabbath sound.
So that they're described as their music features heavy, down-tuned guitar riffs,
Mm-hmm.
minor tonalities.
So, well, first of all, do you want to talk about what down-tuned
Yeah.
actually means?
Yes.
Okay, so there's what you would have a standard tuning of a guitar, all right, and open guitars, e.g., crud, E A D G B E. I'm gonna say, and if you're a guitar player out there, don't bother. I know the answer. It's just off the top of my head. But guitarists would say it'd be tuned in E. That would be your standard tuning of the guitar. But if you want the music to sound different, you would tune the strings lower. You loosen the strings, makes them sound lower, and then you have what you would call like drop tuning. So
Hold it. You loosen
the strings. So this is a science experiment. If you have a tight string, it makes a high sound when you pluck it, and if you have a looser string, it makes a low sound when you
So when
pluck
the
it.
guys are like twisting.
Yeah, so when they're twisting the knobs up at the top of the guitar, you can tune those strings however you like. But there's a standard normal way of playing, and then there is what a lot of metal bands do is to create that sound that you're talking about, that lower sound and that doomier sound or dirgy sound, is they sing in a lower key. Sometimes people do it just to match their voices or to get the sound that they want, but they detune the guitars. So there's what you call drop tuning, or in this case, they just use the term detuned. And that's about it. So you can change the tension of the strings to use the same hand shapes to play in different keys.
So is tricks like that why like there's some very distinctive? I mean, like like Mark Knopfler is playing the guitar. Is that?
No, I think in Mark Knopfler's case, you're listening to the tone that he creates, which is created by the instrument he's using. the settings on his instrument, and then perhaps a specific pedal that he likes to use. That so guitarists do have personal tone qualities. I think many of them do.
Well, you can tell it's Mark Knopfler. You can tell it's David
Yeah,
Gilmour.
it's not specifically from detuning their guitar or using drop tuning, but that could be a factor in other people's sound. Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of the great guitarists of all time, he usually plays in a drop tuning. So instead of being in the key of E, he plays in the key of E flat. And for a number of reasons, I think it suits his voice. He can bend the strings easier because they're looser, things like that. And maybe he just likes the way it sounds.
Yeah.
I would have to delve much more into it to be specific, but that's the idea. And so a lot of these death metal bands or doom bands, and I think even Black Sabbath, I'm not 100% certain on that. I did not research that part of it, but to get that darker, lower sound, detuning your guitar is using drop tuning or detuning is a manner of a way of doing that.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you.
And minor keys, by the way, are just sadder sound. Like there's two, like major and minor are the two most common sounds, I think, in music. Major is like your normal, quote, happy sound, and minor is the way, the notes that you would select to play things that are a little sadder or more ominous.
Because they're the black keys?
No.
No, I don't.
No. I would have to give a whole nother theory lesson on this, but the one sentence answer is minor keys sound sad.
All right. Well, let's leave all this there and appreciate that lesson again. And we're going to drop the needle on sidewalk.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rock. In the red corner, an album that needs no introduction. From Birmingham, England, this truly OG heavy metal masterpiece is ranked number 131 overall and is the number 1 all-time metal album by Rolling Stone magazine. Recorded in 1970, it's a quadruple platinum album that charted at number 1 in the UK and number 12 in the US, performed by the legendary Hall of Fame band Black Sabbath. This is Paranoid. And in the blue corner, two fat guys. This is Two Fat Guys and an album.
Paranoid. Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of exciting, almost intimidating to be diving into a little bit of heavy metal.
Yes.
But if you're going to do it, I think this is a great place to start because
it's the place to start.
Well, I don't know. You got Zeppelin out there.
There is. Crickets.
Yeah. So, but, I don't know how many shows that we've been to, how many bands we've seen that either their encore or one of their songs is War Pigs.
Including the show we saw recently.
Yeah.
That I think we're saying for the next segment. War Pigs is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's a top 10 song. It's one of my 100 top 10 songs.
And, but like Bonerama.
Yes.
Their version of...
One of my favorite covers of War Pigs.
You'd have to explain Bonerama.
Well, Bonerama is, and yes, it is Bonerama. I think it makes a difference. I think if you go to bonerama.com, you get something different than bonerama.net. And I think the current website for them is boneramamusic.something, because you can get a lot of different websites pop up with that. But the name of the band is actually a New Orleans, like in the tradition of New Orleans brass bands.
Yeah.
But featuring trombones, primarily trombones. And depending on whatever the configuration is at the time, it could be anywhere between 3 to 5 trombones. Right. Mark Mullins, I believe, is the leader of the band. And these great guitarists, we've seen them. They're a band that I've seen a million times. They're if they come to town band.
Yeah.
We go to see them as much as we possibly can. But one of the
Because
cool,
they usually perform at my favorite price, under $10 or.
well, I don't know about that anymore. That was maybe the first time we saw them. They've actually performed the national anthem at the Super Bowl. I believe the last time it was in Nolans,
No.
or the time before, because it's in Nolans quite a bit. But
They have a dome.
yeah, they do. And but they do brass band music, traditional New Orleans brass band music, but they also mix in cover songs and heavy metal type cover songs oftentimes. So
Yeah.
they've covered Led Zeppelin. They have a whole album actually of Led Zeppelin covers. But War Pigs, we see them do that. And the one last thing I'll say about that band, since we're not actually featuring Bonerama today, but he runs his trombone through effects pedals, the same as you might through a guitar.
Really?
So he gets really interesting kind of hard rock guitar sounds out of his trombone. And I will say, like, that band is, the first time I saw them, blew me away. It was, and I didn't know you could do this moment. I didn't know this existed. And I love Bonerama. And they do a great version of War Pigs.
All right. Speaking of War Pigs, so
Yes.
let's bring this back to the album and the band we're talking about. So
You have to be careful what questions you ask.
yes. We normally start talking about the band themselves, the members. So
Black Sabbath.
why don't you run through the
Black Sabbath
members?
is a Hall of Fame band. Rolling Stones has them listed as 85 in the artist category. So Ozzy Osbourne, the vocalist, who, as you said, we lost recently.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Black Sabbath has had other iterations. There was
Yeah.
a time when Ozzy left and
He got fired.
Dio...
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Ronnie?
they've had a couple other iterations, but we're talking about the original Black Sabbath. So vocalist, two-time Hall of Famer, both as a solo artist and as a member of the band. Rolling Stone 112 vocalist, legendary. Tommy Iommi, the guitarist, probably the brains of the band. The
Musical brains.
musical brains.
He's not the lyricist.
He's not the lyricist, but he's probably the most musical brains. Geezer Butler is the bassist and the lyricist, which he's amazing on both ends. Criminally unranked. Actually, Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler and Bill Ward, the drummer, was kind of a legit jazz drummer before joining the band. All criminally unranked. I mean, Geezer Butler, incredible. Tony Iommi, incredible. The thing I like, so Geezer Butler, the lyricist, I thought for a very, 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 very long time, that Ozzy wrote the songs. And they do credit, we've talked about how the musicians credit the songs, and all of them get songwriting credit.
Yeah, I was going to.
Right, so they all get songwriting credit, and rightfully so, because Geezer Butler only wrote the lyrics.
Yeah.
Iommi came up usually the riffs, like the indelible guitar riffs that you hear, and Ozzy created the melodies of the songs. So he's legit involved in the composing of the songs. But the only reason I bring this up is I remember seeing Ozzy do an interview on Letterman. And this was as a solo artist. This could have been in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
Probably when he had his family show on, his reality show. One of the OG reality stars, by the way.
Did we see? I mean, I saw Ozzy. Were you there?
I have not seen it. I don't think I saw him with you. I saw Ozzy with my son at Ozfest.
No, I saw him at Allstate Arena.
Yeah.
I don't know with who.
Yeah, I don't think I was at that particular show, but I have seen Ozzy live.
Okay.
And it was amazing. So on Letterman, he could not put two words together in a row that made sense. And I was like, how does this guy write these great songs when he can't, he's like incoherent. Turns out he didn't actually write the lyrics to the songs. So that was a moment of enlightenment for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would almost think he would have if they were incoherent, because
Yeah.
the lyrics are not what makes these songs.
Oh, I disagree. I think the lyrics are quite good, actually. I like Geezer Butler's lyrics. I think they're smarter than you give them credit for. I'm not saying they're all like. It would be very easy to cherry pick a line and say, "What's this all about?"
No, I know.
But I think the lyrics are part of the music, personally.
Well, yeah, they are, but
But
okay.
I mean, a significant part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, they are Black Sabbath. We've already brought up one of the bands. Some people consider the trinity of heavy metal: Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin. But to me, Black Sabbath stands at the top. And as I said earlier in this show, like I think they started off, their original band name was Earth, and it was a little more jazzy, bluesy.
Yeah.
And they made the conscious decision to go a little darker because they felt like there was space there. Like they felt like they could make their mark in that era. So they went from just being like a jazzy blues band of the the 60s to this new sound that they pretty much created.
Yeah. Okay.
So so that's Black Sabbath.
All right. Do you want to run through the songs?
Sure.
At least most of them.
Well, the album is their second album.
Yeah.
And their first
Okay.
It's also their second album of the year. They had created two albums that
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
So they
right.
followed
The
up
Black
the
Sabbath
Black
and the-
Sabbath being their first one, and then this one.
Which seemed to be like lots of bands were doing that at this time, putting out multiple.
Right. I think at this era of music,
I mean, we talked.
you weren't sitting in the studio for a year and then post-producing it for a year, and it was a simpler.
I mean, we
time.
talked about the Grateful Dead did
they
multiple
cranked out a
albums, and
couple
the Stones
albums.
did multiple albums, and
Yeah.
so
So
it's not the first time we've run across that
Yeah, for sure.
in these 6 episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
The original song album title was intended to be War Pigs, and not Paranoid. And they created the artwork of the guy with a sword, thinking that War Pigs was going to be the album title, but the studio said no. The studio thought Paranoid was going to be the single from the album, and so they wanted to name it Paranoid, but they didn't have time to change the artwork. So,
All right.
Paranoid is the album title, but the artwork
Yeah.
is sort of vestigial from the idea of it being War Pigs.
All right. Well,
The album starts with War Pigs.
It
like
does.
That's coming out of the box hot.
that is.
Quite the opener. Rolling Stones has it as their 5th greatest metal song of all time. And not a again, kind of an anti-war song.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, not the hippie "love is all you need"
Right.
type of anti-war song, but a searing criticism.
So so here my hot take for a
Yeah,
second.
go ahead.
So I think musically, the first side of this is just absolute classic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mixed with this sort of goofy lyrics. War Pigs is this apocryphal kind of lyrics, but they're just kind of goofy words.
I don't see that. I mean, I can't even comment on that. So,
I don't. I just think the concepts and the lyrics they make the point.
Mhm.
They're just
I mean, they're not especially poetic, if that's what you're saying.
No, and
they're
they're
not Mountain
just
Goat-esque. They're not Dylan-esque.
they're definitely not
Yeah,
Dylan.
they're not going to be confused with Bob Dylan.
Right.
Oh, but I don't think. But in their own way, the
They-
lyrics
they
are
make the point.
important. Yeah,
They
they're-
make the point.
Yeah. The interesting.
But I wouldn't say he's a Hall of Fame lyric writer.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so I am not a metal person really. Metal and like even Led Zeppelin, growing up, they were too hard for me. They didn't appeal to me at the time. I like them more now than I used to. Black Sabbath is the one metal band I think that I always liked. And part of the reason why I like them, obviously they're very bluesy, so that works for me. But also I thought they were smarter than a lot of other bands. I thought the lyrics were smarter than a lot of other things happening at the time. So, we have different thoughts. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
This is
little over dramatic, little dumb.
Well, they are theatrical,
No.
which but you being someone that has Meatloaf's album like in your top 5, I would think
I don't.
you don't
but
seem to mind theater so
No,
much.
I like it. It's just these are just a little goofy.
Okay.
They get the point across, and musically, you look at this first side. It's War Pigs is like one of those riffs that you absolutely know.
For sure.
And then followed by Paranoid. Again, goofy lyrics, a little over dramatic there, but you know the song,
Yeah.
right?
No, this is true.
Musically.
Right.
I'll finish off the side quickly with my opinion, and we can go back to you.
Okay.
Planet Caravan is for some reason Black Sabbath turning into Pink Floyd,
More of their Earth days coming through is what I would suggest.
and then Iron Man, which again is one of those great riffs.
Yep.
Iconic and made even more so to this generation by the Iron Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a dumb concept for a song. So Geezer actually explained it, and he said it tells the story of a self-fulfilling prophecy in which a man travels into the future and witnesses the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
In the process of returning to the present to warn the human race, he turned into steel by a magnetic field,
Mm-hmm.
and is subsequently ridiculed and ignored by the people he intends to save. Feeling regretful, Iron Man retaliates by actually causing the apocalypse he saw in his vision. Oy.
Where's your problem with that? And they all that in like 4.5 minutes. I think it's terrific.
I am Iron Man. All right.
I think it's wonderful.
Bob
I mean,
Dylan's
you
rolling in his grave.
Who?
Bob Dylan
he's
is
not-
rolling in
well,
his grave.
not yet. He's not. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not. Like
Musically, it's
fine.
they're
Yeah. They're not. Okay. Let's go back to War Pigs for a moment.
All right.
Okay. So War Pigs interests me not just musically, but because I think this is where the idea of Black Sabbath being satanic comes from. It was, it talks about Satanism and witchcraft in some of the silly lyrics that you don't like, and so they
Where?
huh?
Where?
I'm not gonna be able to quote them directly, but the point. I mean, I'll circle around to it. I will get to that question, but the point is that the politicians who are causing war were related to like a coven of witches.
Yeah.
And Satan laughing spreads his wings. That's, I believe, one of the last lines in the song. So there are these allusions to Satanism or witchcraft, and the point being is they were calling other people
right,
satanic.
right.
And
well, the murderers.
Yes.
These generals.
Right.
Creating war.
Yes. Were the true Satans, and who were compared to a witch's coven.
So this is the people in ties and suits trying to turn.
Yes.
Against, trying to undercut the value of this music by saying it's satanic.
That's what I'm saying. So it got flipped on Black Sabbath when in fact they were talking about other people.
Right.
So and we did talk about covers of War Pigs. There's so many great ones. Bonerama, T-Pain has one of the more recent ones, which Ozzy loved and gave 2 thumbs up. We just saw the Flaming Lips absolutely destroy it on stage, like in a good way. Faith No More, Cake, another one that I like quite a bit is the Cake version of it. Ween, Weezer, Government Mule, Fish, the list goes on and on. And a lot of these bands, like you wouldn't think Fish is influenced by Black Sabbath in the same way that your doom metal is. But Black Sabbath's reach is far and wide, I think, as an influence on music.
Sure.
Paranoid, to your point about lyrics, Geezer Butler wrote the song about being paranoid, but what he meant was anxious and depressed, and didn't really know the difference between those things. And paranoid just seemed to roll off the tongue a little bit better. So the song is actually about being anxious and depressed, and not really about being paranoid. But if you overlook that little thing, it's still quite a good song. I agree with you on Planet Caravan. It's a much different song than the rest on the album, really. Slower, trippy, jazzier.
Yeah, very.
And then Iron Man. Do you know Iron Man was originally going to be titled Iron Bloke? So I think they did well. So like, as much as you criticize his songwriting, that would have been a faux pas.
That would have been bad. Yeah.
So yeah, there's your first side.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
So War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, all favorites. All double favorites, right? Okay, we're flipping the album over.
Flip the album over. Let's do the.
We got Electric Funeral.
Yeah.
Song about a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah.
I mean, these are really, for whatever level of writing you are saying, the concepts are.
No, I mean they're taken on. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're not, these aren't.
I just think they'd be better served by,
You think somebody else should have written War Pigs or Paranoid or?
Well, they all.
If you are doing the writing. Like, as soon as you get done producing Sgt. Pepper, then you would move on to writing the lyrics.
It's again, I can't say enough. This is an iconic album. These songs are legendary songs.
Yeah.
The lyrics are just a little goofy, and I don't. If you want to argue with that, argue with that. There's nothing really to argue with.
Okay. Hand of Doom, song number 6, anti-war, anti-drug song.
Well, this is more their experience of seeing the U.S. soldiers that returned, trying to deal with
what they experienced, right?
Right,
and then returning to regular life.
Right, and so they're self-medicating.
Yes.
Which I mean, it's not just the guys returning from Vietnam, but you see that with all of our veteran soldiers coming back. That
right. Not all.
Well,
sometimes, but
every era
has
people coming back that self-medicate to try and get away from
those
the experience, the memories, and it's another reason why we shouldn't have war, because the aftermath lives on and on.
This is true. Yeah, so the interesting thing also about all these anti-war viewpoints is. The UK wasn't actually involved really in the Vietnam War, and so these were all viewpoints from across the ocean, so they were still obviously very concerned about it and aware of it, although it wasn't directly.
Well, I think culturally, it's hard not to be aware of what was going on, because there was such a movement for years at this point.
Yes.
In the U.S. about the anti-war protests, and
yeah. And then
it was the first was the first war that you could
Televised.
watch in real time.
Yes.
Yeah.
The and then sadly the band themselves didn't really take their own advice and themselves got pretty embroiled in drugs. Ozzy in particular struggled with addiction. So, you know,
Sure.
that's the way it goes. Rat Salad, instrumental. Again, back to the Earth days a little bit. Like if you want to, if you go back and listen to Earth, it's going to sound a bit like this. Really nice song. It's good to hear instrumentals actually in there. You know, the title apparently a joke about Charlie, the drummer's hair, Charlie Ward's hair, being a rat salad. And the instrumental did feature, I think, an extended sort of drum solo.
Gotcha.
Then you had Jack the Stripper, was the instrumental introduction to the Boots song.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It has a bit of a slur in the title.
I was going with. Right. I was going with like Tinkerbell, but okay.
So yeah, you can go with it either way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was a slur that was directed at the band or at Geezer or Ozzy. I'm not sure who. And
long hair
and boots. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really great song. Also,
Punchback.
So again, to your point about the lyrics, like I'm not going to die on this hill. It is Tony Iommi, when they talked about the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Iommi said, "We smoked a lot of dope, so that may be why some of the lyrics are unusual. But it's a great jam."
Yeah, the only reason I really kind of, other than they're just a little goofy, but I think they're also like a mouthful a lot for a guy who seems like he has a lot in his mouth. You know, I mean, some of them are hard to kind of fit into the, I don't know how to say this, but they're hard to fit into the...
Like lots of syllables? Too many syllables?
Yeah.
Well, so again, just from a songwriting perspective, Geezer wrote the lyrics.
No, I get it.
Ozzy created the melodies.
Yeah.
So Ozzy created the way that those songs would be sung. If that, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just to, I
Yeah.
think that goes to your point. If you're going to blame somebody, blame Ozzy. But that is how he saw the songs.
I'm not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
I think it's a,
Here, I've got,
it's a quintessential, remarkable album.
yeah.
With a lot of just beyond like just great songs. These are like icons of music and culture.
Yeah.
And it's,
There it is.
yeah. All right. Landmark album, perfect album.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you laid it out right at the beginning. It's definitely a landmark album.
Sure.
It's created a genre. Rolling Stones has it as their #1 metal album of all time.
That's hard to
and
argue.
139 overall in the So for sure, like as landmark could be, I would say. Perfect. By your definition of no skips, sure, yeah. Well, but only for me because I just put an album on and listened to it. For me, it's a just a 3 favorite album. Like War Pigs, Paranoid, and Iron Man are favorites.
Yeah.
But I like all the other songs. I like the instrumentals. I like, the boot song. So, I don't know. I could
Planet
skip
Caravan?
Planet Caravan would probably be my skip if I had one. If I was going to go with an imperfect album by your definition. But, yeah, so I'm going to go not a perfect album.
Yeah, I would say it's not perfect, but it's an icon. It's and it did create a genre. So it's hard to really diss the album, other than its goofy lyrics.
I was going to say, you
I really didn't, I
came
didn't,
in pretty hard on the lyrics, I thought.
Well, they're goofy, but you know, it doesn't. To me, that really doesn't take away from it. But it's not. You know, this isn't a poet. This isn't Dylan. This isn't Van Morrison.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's. Thank you for throwing Van Morrison in there. Yeah. But I don't think anybody would say that.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, and it's as your what spurred out of this. I think there's a lot of more thoughtful songs that talk about the same criteria, the same kind of topics.
Mm-hmm. More well written is what you're saying.
Yeah.
More articulate.
What came after this from other bands was maybe hit the lyrically hit it a little better, but you know, think about what this is coming out of, and think about this group decides they're going to throw everything that works and sells out the window, mm-hmm. and create a totally different sound,
right? And
address topics that would have been fairly taboo.
They were very much so. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if War Pigs wasn't the name of the album simply because they didn't. You know, the producers were scared of putting us, you know.
Right.
In the Vietnam era, they were scared of putting an album on the shelf that said War Pigs.
I think that could be part of it as well. Yeah, I think there's something to that.
So just a remarkable piece of work by 4 remarkable artists.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with leaving this here.
Alrighty then.
All right. So we're going to flip it over, but not before we have a live read.
Two Fat Guys in an Album is sponsored by Deeper Connections Counseling, helping people connect to themselves, the people they love, and the world around them through individual and couples therapy. For Illinois residents, both in person and online. More information at dcctherapy.com.
So we're kind of dealing with another album that has a lot of like sensitive topics or triggers, mm-hmm. you know, out there, and you know, take care of yourself. If you got, you know, if you're struggling with something or struggling with thoughts or whatever, reach out to somebody. If you're in Illinois, these are definitely some good people to talk to, but you're not in Illinois, you're in other parts of the country or in a totally different country. Hey to the guy listening in the Netherlands. You know, go seek help. Go find somebody to talk to. You're worth it. Your relationships are worth it. People around you are worth it. So with that, we got a couple of more messages.
Hey, Two Fat Guys in an Album fans. This is Diane Blackburn, realtor with Baird & Warner and proud sponsor of this podcast. I pride myself in being committed to serve as a trusted real estate advisor for all my clients. Whether you're looking to sell, buy, rent, or lease, feel free to reach out and let's chat about how we can work together to make it happen. If you're watching, scan the QR code for my website or give me a call at 630-638-1999. See you on the flip side.
Are you someone who needs help with their Instagram or TikTok? Well, you're in luck. LR Media is here to help. Email me at laurarose2003@aol.com to get started. Let's make your social media shine.
So side 2, we tend to we've taken to doing a few record reviews or album reviews of new stuff that released. Today we're going to kind of crank it back a little bit. I believe the Maestro has a song to talk about, but then we also have a couple of shows, a couple we saw together, and one that the Maestro saw on his own. So we're going to kind of go through those. You want to hit the song first?
Yeah, hit the song first. So the song literally on the way to recording. Can I say taping? I want to say taping. On the way to taping the show.
Driving to the Fat Cave.
Driving to the Fat Cave. What comes on my radio, but a song by the Beths, as in Elizabeth's. Yeah. I don't know, and I literally have not looked.
What station are you listening to?
This was WXRT.
Oh, okay.
And
so the XRT is always did kind of an alternative sort of.
Yeah, alternative, new, little old, little new. Stuff.
Yeah.
Mix of old and new. And the song is called Metal. And the sound of the song, I like the song quite a lot. It's a band from New Zealand, the Beths, and they have a new album coming out soon. But the sound of the song, kind of a female vocal duo, to me, just throwing out some comps, a little bit of the Go-Go's, a little bit of the twee pop that we talked about, mixed in with the Cure, and you had, and I don't mean, I hate to put you on the spot, but you had a genre that you were into that at some point, which was like the Go-Go's, like that female sound.
No, I don't know. We talked about
Is this
the
like
sad girls.
Right?
Kinda
No,
sound.
this is actually not show related, but okay, I won't dive into much of that because I'm not sure what the Paisley, was it the Paisley Park sound or the Paisley sound?
Yeah. The Paisley pop is
Paisley pop.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, and again, not the Anaconda genre. You could say, you'd have to listen to the song and confirm that I'm on the right track with this. But I'm going with like Paisley pop plus the sad girl twee pop plus the Cure.
Yeah.
And that is Metal by the Beths. And I heard it on the way to the show, thought I'd call it out because I really liked it. And it's brand spanking new today. But by the time you hear it, by the time you hear this show, you
might be a top 10 song.
could be a number one song.
Okay.
And then let's see. So we have a list of concerts. I went to see Good Charlotte, who because they're my daughter's favorite band. So they're like a '90s pop punk.
Your daughter is not like a 9-year-old.
She's
Yeah. She's
older. Yeah. But this would be from the 90s. They're a 90s pop punk band. Probably one of a fairly important band. Not perhaps on the level of a Green Day or something like that.
Yeah.
But to my daughter, way up there. You should listen to them, actually. They're quite a good band. They have a new album coming out, Motel du Cap. So they have, and it's their first album since, I think, in 7 years, because, again, it's an older band. Their old song, they did a great, here's what I liked about the concert. First of all, I like them as well. But they did a great job of mixing the old and the new. They have this old, catalog that's very, very popular. And then they have a new album that they're trying to weave in, And so they started the concert with a couple classics. Like, they came right out of the box, sang songs that people knew. And then they actually said, hey, is it okay if we sing a couple new songs for you? And then the crowd went, yay, sing us a new song. And then everything was cool because they kind of acknowledged what they were doing. And so then they would sort of sing a new one and then a couple old ones and then a new one and a couple old ones. They mixed it in my opinion, the way you should do it.
So it wasn't like they played the Get You on Your Feet song and then 6 new songs that no one's ever heard of.
Exactly.
And then close with a couple of
Exactly.
That always drives me nuts as well when you go out there. And I understand, they're on tour supporting an album.
Right.
Right. I mean, that somebody's paying for this to support this.
Right.
This album. But it always drives me a little nuts that they don't do that when they play the 5 in a row.
Right. So they were very I would call that respectful to their audience.
Except, we saw Car Seat Headrest.
Right.
And 90% of what they did was off of their new album.
Yes. And it didn't bother me either because I don't, being new to Car Seat Headrest myself, the music, there was no old stuff to listen to.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There was I'm not saying I hadn't heard of anything, but so there's still.
They did medley.
Yeah, they did a medley that covered a lot of their old songs. So from the new album, there's a couple songs I'll just say, check out Rejects, check out I Don't Work Here Anymore. Those are, I think, going to be their radio songs, their singles. So Good Charlotte, really good concert. Great performance, energetic. For an old band, they were in great voice, and they don't tour very often, so it was really cool to see them. And my daughter loved this show.
It was a very long sentence.
You asked me some questions.
All right. He said he was going to say a sentence about that, but yes.
That's what I wrote.
All right, fine. The first one we saw together since we last recorded was headlined by the Flaming Lips, but there was some interesting. So there was an interesting opening act.
Yes, Friko, Friko.
What was going to be an exciting second act before the end of the world arrived.
Modest Mouse.
And then
by the end of the world, you mean like a massive lightning storm,
lightning thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So we actually saw this at the Salt Shed, which is a venue in Chicago. They have an indoor space and an outdoor space, and the outdoor space is somewhat bigger than the indoor space.
Right.
So, and it was a beautiful night. So, summer concert series, you're going to be outside.
Yep.
So we were outside for this show, and just watching this storm roll in. So there was
an interruption. Can I give a shout out to Friko, because I actually really like.
Yeah, I wasn't quite there.
Oh,
yet,
okay.
but
You're still telling your.
I was.
Yeah. Well, you skipped a couple parts in my story, but go ahead.
Okay. I was just trying to set the stage before we talked about the bands.
Have you done that? Or is there more stage
My
setting?
mouth was still open. I was in mid-sentence.
I was losing interest. Go ahead. No, so I jest.
Go ahead.
No, I jest. So finish what you were saying.
So I thought, actually, the venue did a wonderful job of dealing with the fact that this torrential lightning thunderstorm came through.
I agree.
They opened the doors and let everybody into the indoor space.
Yes.
So everybody was safe, including the band and everything, until what was a pretty,
It was about a 20-minute interruption.
Of just a downpour.
Right. And lightning, like
Yeah.
electricity.
Yeah. So then, and loud. You
Yes.
could hear the light. And then, everybody got to go back out. I'm sure there were some people not happy losing their spots or whatever. We wiggled our way right back into the spot.
We did manage to get our prime spot.
Yeah, so we were good.
But the venue did handle it exceptionally well. And it's nice to have that option, actually, to be at an outdoor show and be able to take cover if you need to.
Yeah,
And it was really great.
Well done. So shout out to the Salt Shed there. Excellent job dealing with this.
Yeah, I second that.
So the opening act was Friko, a band you were pretty excited to see.
Well, I'd never heard of them before, and so I just did my pre-concert research and checked out Friko. They had a 2024 album, and they're from Chicago. They're a local band. So I listened to the entire album and liked it. So I'm encouraging you to listen to their album, Where We Go From Here, from 2024. The first track is really great. Called Where We've Been, and it's I think a terrific song, and it goes through a bunch of different types of music. It builds kind of like a car seat headrest does. So it takes you, it starts off just guitar, singer, songwriter, and kind of moves through an indie pop, and it gets heavier and heavier as it goes on. So I think the entire album's worth a listen. They only played about a 30-minute opening set. They were really concise and quick.
Yeah.
But I do like them. And then Modest Mouse came out. Their last new album, 2021, by the way. And they did 2 songs, I'm going to say. And then the guitarist...
electrocuted himself?
Yeah, something happened. His pedal board stopped working. And so...
It was already drizzling a bit or raining.
It was raining, yeah. And we were undercover, though, on a balcony. Mm-hmm. So the water was blowing on us a little. So the Salt Shed might be hearing from my lawyer, because I did get sprinkled on. But it's okay. So he actually did a great job, the lead singer, of pivoting while the guitar wasn't working, and then they just did another song, I think, that didn't require that. And then they played Float On, so I was happy. I think he knew the storm was coming and played Float On right at the front of the set. And then midway through the song, his next song, they came on stage and told him he had to get off.
Yeah.
So that was the extent of Modest Mouse.
And we were curious whether they were going to come back out and finish their set, but they did not.
Right.
Because what began was an epic setup
of we're talking about the Flaming Lips.
Yeah.
So this, first of all, they had to clear the entire stage off once there was the storm came in.
Yeah.
So all the gear came off the stage. I think they took the light rigs down and everything. So even once they had cleared the audience to come back out, there was a pretty extensive stage setup that we had. Part of that was this pink whatever stuff, which I correctly assumed was going to be pink robots for the Flaming Lips. And I know I said these, and it was taking forever. It was like taking forever.
Well, and Saltshed has a curfew, so you knew they were going to pull the plug, and
right. I think it was like a 10 p.m. hard stop.
Right. So you're looking at this going, oh well, this could be an hour and 45 minutes left, and then you're like, oh, maybe it's an hour and a half.
Right.
And then an hour and 20.
So I was like, this inflatable pink robot thing better be awesome. Turns out it was. Turns out it was amazing.
So they inflate 4 giant, like 20-foot inflatable pink robots.
Right, they take up the entire front of the stage, all the way up to the top of the stage, and at full inflation, the only person you could see was the lead singer.
So they did Yoshimi Battle of the Pink Robots. That was the second and third song.
Mm-hmm.
They did part 1 and part 2 after coming out with Sleeping on the Roof.
Yeah.
And they had these pink robots, and then at some point they got guys behind them.
Well, that was
dancing.
the best part of it. It was the pink robots were dancing to the music.
Yeah, so people were standing behind these big inflatables, kind of shaking them, so they were dancing. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, this is silly, right? It's kind of silly.
It was.
But this whole show took silly so far around, it became legendary.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
By the time you got through and they only did 10 songs and then a couple encores.
Yeah.
But by the time they got through this, it was your head was spinning.
Well, it was so much fun.
It was crazy.
Light was the show. It was expected. They had a lot of inflatables. All the different songs were sort of they had something going for all of them. They had a screen behind them. It wasn't like a video screen. It was a light screen, but I don't know how. It was like a bunch of LEDs, I guess, but they had animations. Yeah, cleverly, the words to every song were on the screen.
On the screen, which it would be, to me as a singer, would have been intimidating because you got to get the words right.
Right.
Because they're like going up there. It's like a sing-along.
Yeah, it was.
It's crazy. So, I mean, they did the Yoshimi songs. They did the Yeah, 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 Yeah song.
Yep. Don't use jelly.
She Don't Use Jelly was amazing. And then, they closed the set with Do You Realize?
Yes.
Was just phenomenal. And by this point, it's just chaos.
And then War Pigs.
And then they come out for an encore.
And if you had listened to our previous episode, we had talked about, we had seen Car Seat Headrest at the same venue.
Right.
And how the lead singer of Car Seat Headrest kind of did a lot of finger wagging.
He had rules.
His head would have exploded because people were misbehaving.
And the band
but
was
in a fun
encouraging
way.
it. Yeah, I mean, they threw out these giant balls out.
I've never seen more giant inflatable. Like, I've seen the beach balls get bounced around. That's fairly common at festivals and outdoors. But the band provided their own, and they were larger and colorful,
bouncing
and
around.
there were like a dozen of them or more.
I took a couple pictures just to show people, and it's just it was nuts. It was just nuts.
It's definitely one of the best. And I'm only a moderate Flaming Lips fan. I'm not you know what I mean? I like the Flaming Lips, but they're this concert, the presentation of this concert was
just fun.
You
didn't even need to know the songs.
Right.
It was just, the whole thing was fun.
So if you like the Flaming Lips even a tiny bit, and you haven't seen them live yet, you have to. It's a must.
If you know a song, if you know Do You Realize or She Don't Use Jelly, go see them.
Yeah.
They're if you don't listen to them, then go see them.
One of the highlights of the summer,
But I
for
think
sure.
Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots is a top 100 album. I think it's phenomenal. That whole album.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole now, but it's a wonderful album. It's a terrific album.
So then in the encore, as you kind of said, in tribute to Ozzy's passing,
Yes.
they did War Pigs.
And as well as personal friends who
Yeah,
did not
yeah.
come back from
Right.
war.
Right. So discussed really the tragedy that war is, and that we should do as a society. We should do everything in our power to prevent, wars.
Yeah.
And right.
So it was a very heartfelt performance.
Yeah, it was great.
Uh,
That just very somber kind of expression amidst all this like silly chaos.
Yes.
Still hit home. It was still well done.
Yes.
So okay,
One more show.
one more show. Yeah.
Saw Scott Bradley's postmodern jukebox. So more of a theatrical act than
I'd agree.
band, And I did get a chance to look them up a little bit, and they do in fact have various touring groups, and they have interchangeable musicians and things like that. If you're not familiar with postmodern jukebox, the concept is taking modern songs and reimagining them in older musical styles. So they would go all the way back, say, to the 60s or early 70s in musical style.
Yeah.
But also quite a few, they'd go all the way back to the 20s, say,
The
in
swing,
jazz styles.
jazz
and,
swing.
Yeah. And so they would take your, I don't know, what was, the highlight of the show for me was the Metallica song. Which I can't think of the name of at the moment.
I'll let you struggle.
Yeah, but I'm not just going to skip right over it. But they did Metallica, but not as Metallica in a kind of a slow blues way. You're just going to make me think. Like, you realize it's going to swim around my head the whole show.
You'll spit it out.
But they did it. Yeah, it'll be in the middle of one of your sentences. So it was theatrical. They're huge on the YouTube. They're massive, and that's, I think, actually how they got their start, was creating YouTube videos, and they still crank out, I think, one a week or one a month. They have over 1 billion YouTube views as a organization or as a entity.
We're catching them.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
But they... Yeah, I would say, they sometimes the people that we saw, like I've mentioned, they have multiple casts and they can perform in multiple spaces at the same time. I do think we saw the A team. They were fantastic.
It was good. We saw them at a casino.
Yes.
Rivers Casino, so it was probably 1,000 seat.
Right, 1,000 people.
Yeah, 1,000
and it was
seats.
Essentially sold out. It seemed to be.
So it was nice it was an intimate setting, and
Right.
you could see, there was no bad seats.
No bad seats.
But it's just some
People come
just
dressed up.
phenomenal singers. Yeah, so people came in their like flapper dresses.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah, and as you were saying, phenomenal singers, incredible. The musicianship and the singers and the tap dancer doing the tap dance interpretation of The Legend of Zelda.
I don't even know how you. I don't know how you even come up with that. So let's take the Legend of Zelda music and put it to tap dance.
To tap.
Yeah.
So that's an idea of what you would see if you saw the postmodern jukebox. But you can go straight to YouTube and see what they're all about, and look them up, because they've got many songs. And if I would recommend seeing them live, I think it was. I don't know if I would call it a concert. It was more of a theater experience, but it was, in the fact that it was clearly scripted and well rehearsed and choreographed and all that. But I enjoyed them.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it here, and we got a message from one more sponsor.
This episode of Two Fat Guys in an Album is brought to you by Smidge Films. If you're looking to bring your ideas to life with some cool cinematic work, Smidge Films has you covered. From brand stories to promos, we'll help you tell your story in a way that really sticks. Check us out and see what we can do for you.
So this is side 3. This is our Beyond Classic Rock segment, where we kind of take a look at, maybe an overlooked album or a piece of music or an artist that we think ties well to kind of that classic rock era, that maybe people need to take another look at. And in this segment, we are going to talk about the album Sweet Oblivion from 1992 by the Screaming Trees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a I will set the stage a little bit that I'm a big Screaming Trees fan. I think they're great, and this is I think the pinnacle of their work. They're
Are the
not
lyrics up to snuff for you?
no, they're remarkable.
Okay.
But it's not a band we're going to see anytime soon.
No, we're not.
No,
A couple of the members aren't with us anymore.
Yeah, so there's four real players in this band. The band was formed by I don't know if you want me to do this.
You know, go ahead. You're on a roll.
Yeah. The band was formed by the Connor brothers, Gary Lee and Van. And they brought in a vocalist who I think is amazing.
Mark Lanegan.
Mark Lanegan,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Who also sadly passed away in 2022, yeah.
Yep.
And then on this album, the drummer who replaced the original drummer was Barrett Martin,
Mm-hmm.
who plays on a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, he was also, you might find him on an REM album or on a
Yeah.
Mad Season album, among
Yeah.
other things.
so so two of the four have passed away, so we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to see them. But this is I think is them at their peak, and I love them musically, and just kind of categorize them poorly. I mean, they're a grunge band from the grunge era. They're from Washington State. Similar to, in my opinion, similar to like Alice in Chains or Soundgarden.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see why they weren't bigger. They should have been bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So yeah, I agree and disagree. So I am gonna come up like up front and say I'm gonna say things that maybe sound derogatory but aren't, because I do like this band also, quite a bit, and I do like this album quite a bit. I will go to your last point about why weren't they bigger. I think this was could have been their emerging record. Like they were getting some airplay with a couple of songs.
Mm-hmm.
They were featured on an album.
You're talking about singles?
I'm
The
not.
soundtrack?
Yes, I'm talking about the single soundtrack
Yeah.
in which their music was played alongside some of the really large bands of the time, like Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains,
Alice
the
in
bands that
Chains,
you
yeah.
mentioned. And so,
I mean, what a soundtrack that is.
oh yeah,
I mean,
Well-
so you mentioned them. It's also you can throw in like Mother Love Bone in there, which is another grunge kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hendrix, Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, it's
and that's a Cameron Crowe movie, former writer for Rolling Stone.
yeah.
So he knows his music. He knows his soundtracks.
He does.
He's in.
So that's the second song on the album. Got quite a bit of airplay.
Right.
Both kind of the kickback from the movie and
Yes. But then they didn't release anything for like 3 years, and I think they did suffer from drug issues and things like that. I'm not sure exactly why they didn't capitalize on the success of this
Correct.
album or the song, and for whatever reason. But if you're saying why weren't they bigger, I think they weren't.
They were self-destructive.
They were self-destruct. Yeah, that's a thank you. And when you say that they're a grunge band, I don't hear that almost
No.
at all. And I know that they're in. So, like I said, I am not. This is going to sound like I'm bashing them. I'm just telling you what my ears hear. Okay, much like you weren't bashing Black Sabbath about the lyrics. So this is just me what I hear. This is a super influential band. They were part of the grunge scene for sure. There's no denying it. And as we've talked about a lot of times, the influences can be circular. Like you're in a like you're in an area where all this artists are together and they feed off of each other.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that this was an influential grunge. Influential to grunge, okay? But this is what I hear when I hear the Screaming Trees. I hear Hootie and the Blowfish with Pearl Jam. I think they're kind of a harder rocking Hootie and the Blowfish. And I feel like once you hear it, you can't unhear it. But I go straight to that sound, and I like Hootie and the Blowfish, so it's okay. I know that's going to set you off because they're popular. But I also hear hints of REM. I hear Tragically Hip. For some reason, Jesus Christ Superstar comes to mind at certain times. It's sort of like, you have a sip of wine and you say, oh, these are all the flavors. I can't explain it. I just got a little taste on the tongue of Jesus Christ Superstar, and definitely Black Sabbath. And I don't know if you... I always find it interesting because we pair these albums up. I pick an album, you pick an album. 9 times out of 10, I feel like they unconsciously go together.
Yeah, sure.
So did you consciously pick this album to pair with Black Sabbath, or was it sort of subconscious? Like, I just want to do this album. Like, you knew we were going to do Paranoid, and then you picked an album.
Right. It's a heavier album.
Yes.
So I was kind of going that way, and it was one that I've had in the back of my mind that I thought fit very well into this category of Beyond Classic Rock.
It does.
I think it's a band that gets overlooked when being basically overwhelmed by Alice in Chains, Soundgarden,
right,
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and the
yes.
other bands of that.
They're the favorite band of great bands, but somehow not.
Yeah, I mean they opened
on their own.
Nirvana invited them to open,
right.
and it's just there's a handful of songs on this album that I think are. Now I can knock the album as well. I think they fall into this. They have several songs on here, and kind of their habits in other albums is they're very repetitive. The music is very repetitive in the songs, and the songs don't seem to go anywhere.
To me, that grooves. Like, I have a different reaction to that. So to me, that doesn't bother me. If I could just tighten the link up between Black Sabbath and this band. The bass player, Van Connor, Geezer Butler was one of his primary influences. And when you think about when you hear the bass playing, like Black Sabbath, we didn't really talk about it much, but it's a very bass-led band. Geezer Butler is another one of these bassists who I say plays a lead bass or melodic bass. Yeah. His bass lines are very active and melodic. They're not just repetitive notes over and over again. And you can hear both of those things in the Screaming Trees. You can hear the melodic bass playing, and you can also hear sort of the bass riffs that are foundational to many of these songs. Yeah. So this has a really strong Black Sabbath link to it. And I think there's actually a couple songs. Song of a Baker, which was one of the extended tracks on the album. It's not part of the original album. Sounded a bit like Black Sabbath to me. So song-wise, I don't know how you want to go with it, or if you have favorite tracks. There's 11 tracks on the album.
Which is acceptable to you.
Well, and then they have the, what do you call it, like the extended album or the...
Well, everybody does that. Another reason to buy an album.
Right.
It's the same album you already paid for, but now it has more songs.
It has more songs. And so there are 17. It did hit that... possibly
the original. No, don't go there. The original album had 11 songs on it, and that's the only one I told you to listen to.
Can I tell you?
I went down some other dark holes. That's your problem, not mine.
No, I'm going to tell you. I listened to all 17 and enjoyed them.
Well, actually, you're doing better than me.
If you had, I didn't like the extended tracks as much.
Yeah.
Okay, as the main album, but I will also say. They were correct. How about this? They were correct in stopping at 11.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind the additional tracks. I didn't mind them.
So we skipped around this a little bit.
Yes.
But Nearly Lost in You, the second track, is the one off of the single soundtrack.
It's off the singles track. It
probably was
their most popular song.
You usually have the numbers.
Well, it charted 50 in the UK. It didn't hit the Billboard main charts. but there's subcharts. So there's like mainstream rock, it charted at 12. Alternative rock, it charted at 5. So it's some of the sub genre charts. It performed pretty well.
Did any of the other songs?
No.
All right.
No. So that was their most successful commercially. Their most commercially successful.
So
song.
and that's a great kind of place you want to dip your toe into this and see if they're grunge or not or whatever nonsense he's talking about. I would start with Nearly Lost in You.
Yep.
The first song, Shadow of the Seasons, I think is really good. It's a good. This is the first album I think since they replaced the drummer that brought in Barrett Martin.
Yes.
And this is a good example of where clearly he shines in the start of this song is some hard pounding drums kind of, and then the final song, Julie Paradise.
Yep.
Phenomenal drum.
Sounds a little like that's one of the songs that makes me think of Tragically Hip. So so I know in the past I've talked about bands just copying other bands.
Right.
Yeah. That's not what's going on here at all. So there are influences, and in many cases these songs came before, like they were the influence.
Yeah.
So respectfully, it sounds like the Tragically Hip. Dollar Bills, third song off the album. It's a favorite of mine. It's kind of a southern blues rock pop. Listen again. Tell me it doesn't sound like Hootie and the Blowfish. It's got a great bass line, some nice guitar work.
I like and a good story tells a good story. It's a good lyrically. But I think what saves that is a couple of good guitar solos.
Great guitar work.
Yeah.
No, the guitarist is outstanding. The bass is outstanding. Like I like.
Yeah, and those are the Connor brothers.
The Connor brothers, wonderful, wonderful playing.
So, and then Shadow of the Season, I think is good.
I mean, I like them all. I like Winter Song. Inspired by Chicago band Cheap Trick, by the way.
So the vocalist.
Mark Lanegan.
Did you see the Wikipedia? How he got described in Wikipedia?
I probably did, but I'm not going to pull it.
He has a gritty vocals, and I was trying to figure
Right.
out how you describe his vocals. And his vocals, I think, are as important to the sound of this band. As any of the other grunt, Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, or Chris Cornell and Soundgarden,
Right.
or Lane Stanley and Alice in Chains,
Or Darius Rucker and Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, let it go. But he was described as scratchy as a 3-day beard, yet as supple and malleable as a moccasin leather.
Yes.
And that's really is so. But he also does. He changes the emphasis on his voice, so he's like softer in some of the
No,
songs.
he does. Yeah, right. And so when somebody talked about describing his voice, and I did read that sentence that you mentioned, I did think it was odd because I think he sounds a little bit different in certain songs. Yeah, he definitely shapes his voice to the character of the song, I think, at times.
And the last thing about him is he was part of that Mad Seasons project we talked about a couple of times with Lane Stanley and Mike McCready.
Yes.
Where they were
trying to get clean.
Yeah. So
and failed.
Yeah, ultimately.
Yes.
I think they all. Well, Lane Staley first.
Right. They were actively formed a band for the purpose of getting clean.
Well, and to show Lane that it could be done.
Right.
Hang out with sober people.
Yes.
Didn't
work
out too well for him.
Good effort.
Yeah.
But sad ending.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation. Shadow of Seasons. The first 3 songs basically are good. I like some of the other songs, but I think more or less, I think is somewhat repetitive. I think before Celebrations Past,
that's when I think is like the first one that sounds super,
very
actually
repetitive.
sounds grungy to me.
Yeah, and then No One Knows, I think it would be a song you'd probably like because that's your strong bass line.
Oh, okay. You like that? Yeah, right.
It's jumped out. I was expecting you to mention it because I think it's such. the bass just kind of comes through.
Yeah.
And then Julie Paradise, we talked about a little bit, is a great song to end it on, and just some amazing drumming going on in there.
Yeah, I think it's all good. I'm surprised you skipped over Troubled Time, the 9th track, actually, which starts off a bit slower and then does turn into like a grungy hard rocker. You hear the Kurt Cobain sound in it, or what perhaps influenced Kurt Cobain's voice. Sure. Like I hear that, like we talk about him having almost a chameleon voice is not the right word, but like 10%
he
of
can
it.
do a lot.
He has some flexibility. And then it finishes off kind of a gospel Rolling Stone sound.
Yeah.
I mean, you picked the album. It sounds like I even like it better than you did.
Yeah. So how many fat guys there?
Oh, I didn't know we were rating it.
We always rate these.
No, we only rate the side 2 albums, the album review.
Oh, all right.
Since you put me on the spot,
well.
I will say they are all favorites. I will say it's a perfect album. I'm going. Oh no, the Secret Kind maybe didn't get it. The Celebrations past was not in the favorite list. So by favorite, I mean I actually took the song and put it in a playlist.
Yeah.
So there are 11 songs that made it to the 9 songs made it to the favorite playlist. Probably a perfect album in the sense that there's no skips for me. And
when I suggested this album, you were cynical.
I'd never listened to it before. You misinterpreted my cynicism. You said Screaming Trees, Sweet Oblivion, and I said, okay.
No, you didn't say
What did
okay.
I say?
It was something much more snarky.
Okay.
I'm sure Chauncey has it stored somewhere.
All right, I'm sure. But only because I wasn't familiar with it. And I thought it was one of your weird picks. But no, I like the album quite a bit after listening to it because I'm open-minded.
Oh, good
and
he's not.
And listen without bias and try to just take it in. So having a complete clean slate on this album, and honestly, other than Nearly Lost You, which I did recognize this song from my youth-ish, more youthful days.
You were married.
But it wasn't an album that I grew up with or knew.
Right.
And so with a completely open mind, I listened to it and enjoyed it quite a bit. I would give it a 7. I'd go 7, maybe 8. Maybe 8. Well, you're talking about, does it get a half a point for its influence and for its importance? So it's maybe a 7.5 or so on content. I always, there used to be, I was thinking about this. There used to be a guy on the...
We were so close.
So close. There used to be a guy on the news, Bill Ward, I think his name was, and he would do restaurant reviews. You know him. He wore like weird glasses and everything, but he would always rate restaurants as breads and circuses. And then so like you'd have the food and then you'd have the whatever accoutrement around it. And I think I was actually thinking of it in context of the Flaming Lips concert because the circuses were 10 fat guys on the circuses. Mm-hmm. Oh, he was on. Just stop.
All right.
So if you want a rating off the top of my head without really pondering it so much, I would say 7.5.
All right. I will give it 5.
See, that's so weird.
I think, the songs I mentioned are very good. I think there's a troubled middle, and it ends strong.
All right.
Yeah, so we don't have a sponsor, so we're going to flip straight over to the side 4. Well, we shuffle papers.
Shuffling papers and wondering what... what if I said we could... what if my... thought, because I'm not the show. I don't get to make these decisions. But if I was choosing, any album I choose would be more than a 5. I wouldn't recommend a 5 to anybody.
I think I think it's an overlooked album.
Almost a hidden gem.
Yeah, it's beyond classic rock.
Right.
It has some really good songs.
Okay.
I think the Screaming Trees need to be recognized more.
I agree.
You think about that whole era of the bands that they hung out with, worked with, supported, opened for vice versa. The Screaming Trees is not something that really comes up, and being such a big fan of Pearl Jam and Nirvana's work, and
Right.
I think they
traveled in those circles,
this
and
band just needs to be
heard.
and so there
No,
was
I
an
don't
opportunity to
Yeah, I don't disagree.
them.
Only with the number rating.
I think about half the songs are remarkable and half the songs just aren't, and so
It's math.
that's 5. Yeah, it's math. All right.
Gotcha.
That was side 3. We're now on side 4,
All right.
where you have to rank the album. So you're going to take
For
Paranoid.
someone who's so terrible with numbers, I don't know why this excites you so much.
Oh, it just brings me glee because I know how uncomfortable it makes you.
It's incredibly uncomfortable.
So we are going to put Paranoid.
Yeah.
This historic, what he described himself as a landmark,
Yep.
genre-creating album.
It is.
Broke the molds.
Yep.
And he is going to put it on this
I don't
list
think
of,
it even broke the mold. It created the mold.
It created a mold that carries on today because
Yeah.
there's definitely copycat bands.
Yep.
So he's going to put that in order with the 25 other albums we have done.
Yes, this is true. I don't know. Sgt. Pepper's number 1. Moondance is number 2. Paranoid has made it into my top 10.
Oh.
They are, in fact, it is an undeniable landmark album. And I would be perfectly happy it's stopping there. And like it's a landmark album, and who cares where you put it? But you care where I put it.
I do.
So I am placing it at 8 right now.
And that is sandwiched
It
between...
is sandwiched between Who's Next at 7 and The Violet Femmes at 9. That is I have spoken.
Who's at 6?
Okay, so Moondance is the top album of the 70s. It's a 1970 album. The Doors at 3. Wish You Were Here 4. Aqualung 5. Graceland, the just epic, like, world-changing
World
album.
music,
Yeah. 6. Who's Next 7. Paranoid 8. Violent Femmes 9. I've got Nothing Shocking by Jane's Addiction at 10.
Interesting.
I might change my mind next week.
Yeah.
But I do like Paranoid. But as I sit right now, Paranoid sits firmly at number 8 behind Who's Next and ahead of The Violent Femmes.
It's interesting. Insulting to a lot of music, but interesting. All right.
It's not. That is why I don't like to list it, because I mean no harm to any of these 25 other wonderful albums, and why they shouldn't actually be rated next to each other.
So for the next show, we are going to look at we're going to stick with the heavy metal kind of vibe.
Okay.
And do the 1982 album from Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast.
All right. I'm going to have an open mind on that, because I have never listened to that album.
Oh, my God.
No, it's too heavy. I told you, I don't really like heavy metal.
Oof. Love it.
But I am unbiased,
Yeah.
and I'm clearing my thoughts now to prepare for that.
So with that, we'd like to thank our production team and our director, Chauncey, there from Smidge Films, our media team from LR Media, and, of course, our sponsors, Deeper Connections Counseling, Diane Blackburn from Beard & Warner. Please like us, subscribe us, share us with your friends and neighbors.
Share.
Yeah.
We have first of all, thank you to all of our wonderful listeners. We greatly appreciate you. Tell your friends. Yeah.
So with that, I'm Fat Guy 1.
Fat Guy 2.
We'll see you next week. Yeah, we did pretty good.
All right.
See? Let me lead, and you do well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm asking ridiculously simplistic questions.
The
apparently.
simpler the better. Oh, no, but it's not. No, it's not. Because the opposite would be that you'd ask a super complex question, and I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Hippopotamus?
L. All right.
So keep the easy questions coming.
Oh, that wasn't.
it's a
I think that's fantastic. I mean,
it's an
good to
interesting
know.
point.
Yeah. Because it really is. I mean,
You
that stuff's a very distinctive sound. It is frightening. I mean, it was frightening kind of listening to some of that stuff. And I was listening in the car and planes and whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like, my God, this is all just like straight ripoffs of
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. But it's also kind of amazing tribute to what they must have created, that, they can spark a whole genre.
Do you want to save this for the
Apparently, yes.
when we come back?
Rollin', 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 keep them doggies rollin', 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 ride. Ha.
That ISO tip might have been something to know.
Yeah, well,
You know, if
you can lead a horse to water
the show gets better every week,
every week.
we'll be good in about
A year and a half.
7. I was thinking 7 years, but
Yeah.
all right.
Episode 100 is going to be killer.
Episode 100. Stick around out there. We're getting there. 2 fat guys in an album. We'll be better next time.
It's got to be on some shirt somewhere.
Yeah. All right. I am ready to rock.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's been a while. So cute. All right, that's cute. All right.